Heyo people, welcome to my podcast Life Adventures Taught Me, the podcast where besides some general life experiences we explore topics of personal growth and self-discovery, which we will do also today. And today's episode it's about respecting time both ways, yours and other people's time. Respecting other people's time is crucial for maintaining healthy relationships and effective communication, which as I analyze many situations from my life, I see that we miss that a lot. So we miss a lot of effective communication and in general communication, and also that communication is important in healthy relationships. So in order to have healthy relationships and effective communication, we need to learn more about respecting time of each other. And why I chose this topic, I think this is something that we meet with in our everyday life. We have it every day, and I think too little people talk about it. Even in my friendships that I have, I don't speak with them a lot about it. And when we, for example, get bothered about some other friends or people that don't respect our time, for example, if you plan something and they don't appear on a time, if it happens more often, then you start to get stressed. Even when you plan something, if you start that journey or adventure, if you start doing it with stress about other people being late, then you're not gonna feel good throughout all the process that you do. So I think it's really important to talk about it, because in our everyday communication, in our relationship with other people, with close people or not close people, I think this is the topic that we rarely talk about. And I think it's important to maybe raise awareness more about it, and to say in a certain situations when you feel bothered, to say okay, I was not okay with this and this, if it happened more often. And that's something that I've been working on lately, and I can assure you that it helped me a lot. I'm still working on it, but I implemented some changes about it, and I already see the difference after a while. And that's why I chose to talk about it, so I can maybe tell you more about it from my point of view, how did it go, and give you examples of the situations that I had to deal with and how I managed with them, and what I see that it was okay and what not. So definitely talking about respecting time can raise awareness, and by listening to this episode you can learn more about how to value more your time and others people's time, and how to be more organized, and with that you can lead to more healthy relationships and less stress in your life. So about respecting other people's time, punctuality is really important. So being on time is essential for showing respect and consideration for others. Being punctual demonstrates reliability and professionalism. And even for the job, for example, if you go for an interview, if you previously applied for that job, of course you're gonna go there on time because you take it more seriously. But what I feel with my friends and other people, I feel generally people are really bad in respecting other people's time, because I had for example, with my friends group, I have been going through many situations where I needed to wait for other people, but it also happened with me that they were waiting for me. So I will give also some examples, but I just want to say that I have realized that a lot of people are really bad in respecting other people's time. They just look for theirs, and they don't take it so seriously as they take, for example, for some job interview. And here is the first example. I agreed with one friend that we're gonna meet, we're gonna go around the city. I don't remember what was the thing that we agreed to do, but the meeting point was the center of the city at 2 p.m. I remember I came around 2 p.m. and then I waited for 20 to 30 minutes, and I texted her okay, are you coming? You're late. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm late, I'm leaving soon the flat, I will be there. And I was like, okay, I can wait some more time, and I expected 15 to 20 minutes more, it's fine. which would be in total already 40 or more minutes. And then she was not appearing, and in 1 hour I was like, okay, where are you? You're already 1 hour late. And she's like, yeah, sorry, I'm leaving the flat right now. And I was there like for 1 hour and a half, and I got like really stressed and mad because that's too much, you know. At the end she was late 2 hours and a half. This is extreme example, and this is the first example that can cross my mind when I think about someone being late. Is that one friend, she has that thing like to be late, and then I think that's a reason also why we don't hang and plan that much, because I feel like I don't have so much trust on her anymore about coming on time and respecting my time. Of course we talked about it, and but I have just decided like not to plan that many things, because some people are just bad with it and they don't want to improve in it. So she was late 2 hours and a half. I was super stressed and frustrated about that. And the reason why she was late even more is because when she got to the station where she was supposed to get a bus that will get her to the meeting point, the bus has just left before she came to the station. And then she was even more late because she was waiting for the bus much longer than expected. And she was super late, and I remember like throughout that meeting I was stressed the most of the time, and I didn't really enjoy our meetup. So in order to avoid this kind of the situations, if you plan things to do with your friends, you plan them like to feel good, to have fun, not to get frustrated and like to finish as me in this case, that I really didn't enjoy at all. By the end of the meeting I like hanging out, like I was fine, but still it could have been much different. And this is one of the examples. What she could do better is that she should have written to me before, hey, I will be late, I don't know, at least 30 minutes or 1 hour. Stay home until I let you know that I will leave the flat, so you can leave at the same time. She didn't know she's not gonna catch the bus, but she knew that she will be late at least 30 to 1 hour, 30 minutes to 1 hour. So she didn't let me know. I was waiting over there. I was really bored. It would be much different if she had told me, okay, stay at home. I could just hang out and chill at my home, and or do whatever other thing, some other things that I needed to do. I could finish them before the meeting, and then later on, while she still didn't leave the flat, she could write me like, oh yes, sorry, I'm late and now I'm getting the bus, or I will be this much at least late, so I could know, you know, like while waiting I could take these 40 minutes and do something else, not to stay in the same spot. So here we can see that it was a lack of good communication, and that's what provoked, like not respecting others people's time. It provoked my frustration and not enjoying the time with her. Recently I've been reading a book that said like when you are waiting for somebody, you can use that time that you don't focus on waiting for other people, because you will stress. Just focus on the things around you, analyze the things, just see them, like the nature, the wind, and try to enjoy just being with yourself over there, not to see it as waiting, see it more as a time for yourself, and like just enjoying like the things that surround you. And that's something that I try to implement, but these days I'm not so social because I focused more on people that bring me good energy, and focus more on the things I like to do. So I don't meet so much with people, but I tried it a few times and it really does work. And that's maybe what's something that I would suggest in situations like this. Just like try to focus on other things and like enjoy where you are, not to focus on waiting, focus on where you are and try to appreciate the moment, and try always to find the good thing about it, focus on it, and just try to feel good, not to be thinking about waiting, and like use the situation in the best way you can. And that's like being in the present moment and enjoying the things that surround you and the things that you see, that you feel. One thing that is really important when making plans with others is setting clear expectations. Communication is really important, and ensuring that everyone is on the same page regarding meeting times and commitments are crucial things for making plans and respecting the time of other people. And I have one more example that I encountered myself, that my friends, they didn't respect my time and other people. It was a few years ago, and I was always the one who organizes meetings, gatherings at my house. And one day we agreed to meet at my house at 7 p.m. That night I decided to call more closer friends that I have. So the plan was to meet at 7 p.m. and to stay all night until midnight or longer, just having fun, playing board games and hanging out. The most of friends, they came at 9 p.m., which is fine, okay, if you're gonna hang out all the time, but big part of them, they came and they said oh, it's 10 p.m., we're gonna just stay from 9 to 10 p.m. just to see you, we're gonna go out. And it was some other plan, and they didn't invite me, for example, because okay, if the plan it was to spend all the evening over here, there was a bad communication that they didn't let me know that they have another plan over there. The one bad thing is that they didn't invite me. They already had full car, so they didn't take me in consideration. And another bad thing is that previously during the day, another friend from another friend group that I don't hang out that often, I really wanted to hang out with them, but I told them oh, I'm sorry, I already planned with these friends at 7 p.m. They're gonna come to my house to hang out. So I canceled that plan with respecting other people's time, thinking that we're gonna stay all night playing board games and hanging out, but then eventually I found out that they have another plan. They're just gonna stay for a short time in my house, and I was really furious over there. I told them on a nice way, I think this was not fine, but okay, and then we're gonna play games until 10 p.m. and then later on I'm gonna go to this other gathering that I was invited. Over there I decided to speak up and tell them that that was not okay, and they kind of understood it, but I just want to point out how important is communication, that you let other people know. If for example this gathering was, I don't know, we were 8 and 6 people stay and we can continue with the night normally, but no, those were 5 people who are gonna go out, and that's majority of people, then it's completely different plan from what we agreed to. If it was less friends, it's fine. So that's why I want to point out why good communication is really important, and with good communication you will respect more other people's time. And I have another example that with one friend a few years ago we planned a camping trip. We decided to stay for 2 days. The first day we're gonna hike around, then we're gonna get to the spot where we're gonna camp, we're gonna stay there, and the next day we're just gonna do the barbecue, chill over there and go home. So we would sleep in our tents in a specific spot after hiking. So it was planned to include 9-10 people, but we were the 2 main organizers, and we said we are the 2 of us, we're gonna stick to the plan, and who joins, who wants to stay 1-2 days, it doesn't matter. When we came to the campsite spot, when we came to the place we wanted to camp and stay over the night, that friend just said oh, I'm not gonna stay home, I'm just gonna go with another friend, I'm just gonna go home. And I was okay, but why? What happened? Is everything okay? Yes, everything's okay. Yeah, I'm just not gonna stay over here, I'm just gonna go home. And there the friend didn't give me any kind of information. I think in this case, because we were the 2 main organizers, in this case you could at least explain me so I understand, because I think this was more about the respect, not respecting time, but it was more about the respect that the other friend didn't tell me, oh hey, I feel like this and this and this and this happened. At least basic few informations, some other day I'm gonna tell you more about it. At least if you explain me, you show me respect, because we were the 2 organizers that we said we're gonna stick to it and we're gonna stay with this plan. And when the friend reacted like this, oh no, I'm just like that, yeah, I'm just gonna go home, and the friend didn't tell me anything about it. I was sure it was nothing, at least I think it was nothing wrong against me, and because of that the other friend didn't want to stay, but it was something else. And I think in this situation I deserved to know at least some information to explain, so I can understand the situation better. But the friend didn't tell me anything about it, and then that is where I lost my It happened a few times with that same friend. That is where I lost my trust in making plans with that friend. Like plans with that friend like are always amazing and I really like them, but that's where I lost the trust. I realized, okay, here I can see that I cannot trust this person about making plans anymore because this friend just doesn't give a fuck what I'm gonna think if they don't explain. They just decide to do it, and I find it a little bit selfish, and not respectful towards me. That's where I lost my trust in this friend, so I don't make plans anymore, and it's a pity because always when we do some adventures it's like really interesting and I really enjoy it. But what can I do? I decided like to focus less on that and just to accept it as it is. And that's something that I have never talked with this friend. Like we don't hang out that much anymore, but we make plans from time to time. But that's something that I have never mentioned, but I have realized like throughout the situations this friend has this kind of the habit. That's it. Okay, I decided to accept. But I don't want to plan this much anymore. Even the adventures we make are always fun and like I feel so good going with them. I decided not to because then later on I get like really disappointed. There are many negative impacts of being late, and those negative impacts reflect on our relationships and productivity. And being consistently late can erode trust and lead to frustration and resentment among friends, colleagues, or team members if it's about work. For example, I showed you before, I lost trust about planning things with that person. Of course, there are many situations where I'm late also, and for example when a friend comes for me to go to gym and I'm not ready because I was doing something, that's my bad organization, or at least I should tell to friend like, oh, hang on like maybe 30 minutes more so we can go later, so another friend can do something. Sometimes I do it too, and that's something that I work on. But to me it never happened that I was like late 2 hours and a half or more than 1 hour. If there is like situation like that, I always let them know on time and I have good communication. And I think this is something that most of people are bad in, is bad communication when planning things, and which leads to not respecting other people's time and leads to negative impacts on our relationships that we have. So there are many other negative impacts of being late. As we mentioned, erosion of trust, increased stress and frustration. What is the point of going somewhere frustrated? If you plan some things with friends, you plan them to have fun, to feel good. And if you don't organize yourself good and you have bad communication, there will be much more frustration and stress, and the whole experience is gonna be negative. And being consistently late, in the previous example, it led to erosion of trust for me. I lost the trust for this friend for planning things together with a reason. If the things had been happening consistently being late can have like many other negative impacts. Missed opportunities which limit your potential of doing things, because when you plan something and other people go for it, wait for you, they waste their time the way they didn't want to. Because it's okay, we all need to learn to be flexible and to adapt different things, different situations. But with bad communication you don't respect others people's time, and during that time they could be more productive and they missed their opportunities throughout the day. They missed their opportunities they could do during that day, depending on how much time they lost. In the situation where I lost 2 hours and a half, I still went for this meeting. It took me a whole day, so of course I got frustrated because I planned more things to do, but at the end I was just too stressed and I didn't enjoy it. So I could plan my day much better and a more productive way if we had better communication and if there was more respect for my time. And also with consistency of being late, you get the negative perception of other people and you want less of that in your life, and it can lead to strained relationships. So your relationships with your friends, they don't go any more smooth as before. And what would be some practical tips or strategies for improving punctuality? Maybe setting some reminders, planning ahead, or for example, if there is some other thing or a plan that can impact if you are gonna go to some event or not, we should let other people know so they can also make a backup plan, plan B, if the time don't work out for both of you. And I strongly encourage you to prioritize punctuality and consider the impact of their actions on others. And some other things that could help us improve punctuality, as I mentioned, plan ahead. We can take some time to plan our schedule in advance. You can use tools like calendars, planners, or scheduling apps, which I don't use, to organize your commitments. Mostly I write in my notebook the things I'm gonna do, or my meetings and stuff that are waiting for me, and or I just put a note on a wall or on a computer somewhere where I can see it so I don't forget about it. And some other similar reminders could be using alarms, notifications, or reminders on your phone to alert you about your meetings or about the time. Also, we should prepare in advance, get everything ready the night before to minimize last minute rush and stress. Prepare the clothes, pack your bag, gather any necessary documents or materials ahead of time, so when you wake up in the morning, so you don't have any extra delays. Also, if there are too many things that we need to do or some big work waiting for us, to maybe avoid being late, maybe we can break tasks into smaller steps to avoid procrastination. This is something that happens to me a lot, that I choose to take two big projects, two big things for one day, and then I feel frustrated and being late for other things because the bigger project take me so much more time than expected. Also, in this case, we can improve our time management skills by prioritizing tasks, setting deadlines, and avoiding distractions. So we focus on completing tasks efficiently and effectively to free up time for other commitments. One more important thing is to learn to say no. Say no to activities or events that don't align with our priorities or schedule, and this can help us prevent overcommitment. This is also something that I mentioned. This is what I do a lot. I overcommit myself in many stuff, and by avoiding that we will ensure that we have enough time for important things. Also, in the situations where we need to wait for other people and people they don't come on time, even ourselves, we do it sometimes, we need to have the flexibility and understanding. We need to acknowledge that unexpected delays can happen despite our best efforts to be punctual, and I encourage you to practice flexibility and understanding when others are late, because that's something that we all do. But in the first place of everything is a good communication. When you have a good communication, everything is easier. And maybe we can conclude all these things through advice on how to communicate concerns effectively and work together to find solutions that accommodate everyone's needs. I think that when you feel really disturbed and when it repeats and you feel it for a longer time, you should always say it. In some situations, it's normal to be late and you can tolerate it, but if it repeats consistently, always say how you feel. You deserve to feel good. And when you say it to them, people who are ready for personal growth or growth in general, they will understand, or they will try to work on it, so there is no any discomfort for neither you and neither them, so for both of you in your relationship. And what is really important in this communication is that other people can also point out that in some situation you also do it, and that's how you deal with it. With a normal conversation, you can solve whatever problem, and when you feel for a longer time, you should tell it. And with the people who are ready for the personal growth, it will be easy. But if you try to communicate about it with the people who are not ready for the personal growth or also growth in general, they will just throw negative energy back to you. They will get disturbed And that's because they don't know how to communicate. And if they don't know how to communicate, how they will understand you and how they will understand this situation if they are not even ready to listen and try to solve the situation. So this kind of people, friends, these are the people I mostly took out from my life, because they are the certain people who you can make an effort for and try to work it out. But most of those relationships are just stress and discomfort for both of you. As I decided to choose more spending time with people I feel good with and just with myself, I just feel more like myself now, and I have more time for the things I like. So the same way with the people who don't respect your time. If somebody doesn't respect your time, you can tell them how you feel about it. If you see them often, you can have a conversation about it, and you can find out also if you are doing something similar to that, and you can work it out in order to preserve your friendship. If you don't see them that often, you can still tell them or just reduce planning things with them. It's up to you. You can tell them or not, depending on how important for you is that they know about it. Because also, if these are not the people that you see so often, then you can just let it go and focus on relationships where there is a better respect of time. There are different outcomes. Either they will understand it and work on it, understand it and still go with it, or not understand it and be angry about it if you tell it to them. According to that, according to your personal values and point of view to a certain situation or a person, you will clearly see if somebody fits for you or if somebody does not. There is no point of being persistent about changing other people's behavior. You can tell them even a few times, but if it just doesn't work, either you need to accept it and be with it, or just focus on other relationships and reduce time with people who have the problem with respecting other people's time. So this is where I would like to finish today's episode. I hope that by discussing these points, I can raise awareness about the importance of respecting other people's time and provide practical advice for improving punctuality and communication in relationships and interactions with other people. As we can conclude, this is a really important thing in everyday life. And by doing it in a more flexible and responsible way, we have less stress and we are what? Happier. Which is one of the main purposes of this podcast channel, to make us the happiest version of ourselves. If you would like to hear more about frustrating experiences from this guy and learning about conclusions out of those situations, and if you would like to be part of my every week journey through our personal growth and some interesting adventures, you can subscribe, leave feedback, and you can also share your own thoughts and experiences about this topic. Until then, stay strong, stay positive, and be your best version. Ciao ciao.